Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Paul C. Metzer, James Young Jr., Penfield Town Court, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times. And 6 times the prosecutor's not talked to court. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, Assistant District Attorney Mark Monahan. What are the names of my prosecutors? It's on here on this foil as I communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. June 10th, demanded this law on June 2nd, June 4th, and June. Tell me the names of my prosecutors, you hacks and sociopaths at that in court. Because I will seek disbarment for each. It's not because I want to know the names to know the names. They should be disciplined and disbarred. I'm confident they can be disbarred. Tell me their names. And you know their names too, Julie Siaka, public defender of Monroe County. When I contact Sabrina Lamar, the president of Monroe County Legislature, about you and how you, if you just send in my mail back, I'm not going to hold up those envelopes today because I only have so much time on this Saturday. I'm going to the Rochester public market because I'm a free man and I'm not in jail when a prosecutor has to talk in court. You know the names of my prosecutors too, Mark Phillips and Regina Harper. Tell me their names. And this is anger I have to control. And I'll tell you why. And you won't know when I'll tell you why. My 50th birthday is July 4, 2015. Where I have a speeding ticket on my place of employment in Albany, New York, a speeding ticket on my place of employment in Washington, D.C. You know what I know about these disgusting, sick, corrupt courts that I've been in? It does not matter how you've lived your life at all. Striving for decency and morality and ethics and virtue. And failing. Because those are standards that not everyone can achieve. But I believe I have lived my life in the right way. And that's why when I'm 50, on July 4, 2015, I've never been arrested. And that's why prosecutors talk in court as far as all these concocted criminal charges and fictions. Freedom of Information law, I'm going to write for $4,000 hacking puzzle, is if I've been held in contempt of court in Penfield Town Court for either talking directly to you, Paul C. Metzer, tell you what I think about you underneath that hideous wig, talk about generalities. When I'm walking through this, my mother's screaming at me. Shannon Meyer tells a man named Steve Desmond to ride his tractor by my residence. Get me come to the house. I come out of the house. I say nobody owns the land. Walk back on rents. That's not a crime. Ever. This is what your revolting hack is doing. You gave a $16,000 raise. Shannon Meyer was paid $67,000. Since I paid $83,000. When I appeared in Penfield Town Court, John P. Lomenzo Jr. screams at me, Christopher Chichester, you charged with trespass. And I corrected him. I said, that's not the concocted charge of fiction. That's my exact words. I said, it's trespass. Did he hold me in contempt for correcting him? That's my question to you, Paul C. Metzer and James P. Jr. Did John P. Lomenzo Jr. hold me in contempt of court for correcting him? Are there other charges in Penfield Town Court for me for contempt of court? For being refused to answer that. Even when I contact the Office of Court Administration in Albany and tell them that you need to answer me if you have any concern as officers of court and professionals, that you have to go in there and grovel to these two hacks? When you're standing in front of Alex Renzi, ridiculous bench that he's on, and Renzi are going to decide guilt or innocence without a jury. The state legislature in Albany, Speaker Carl Easton, Senate Majority Leader Andrew Stewart Cousins, Governor Kathy Hochul need to reform this revolting law that allows one judge and one psychopath prosecutor to sentence the defendant to jail. So I'm going to say this again for you, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan. You've been in New York State Supreme Court, I don't know, but I'll ask you this in writing. If you're in New York State Supreme Court as officers of the court, deputy district attorney, assistant district attorney. You appearing before Alex Renzi, and it's you and Alex Renzi and the defendant. Do you have a problem with that as far as due process, civil and constitutional rights of the defendant? That you and Renzi, you two people, are going to decide guilt or innocence as the defendant. What do you think about what I said, Mark Phillips? I hope you know that I once had respect for you, and this is language I've used to use. You said to me, Gregino Harp, about the 5'2", 3-piece suit boy before Paul Metz Rasmussen fictionalized the prosecutor, not back down. And then when I asked you, either at that moment or certainly asked you subsequent to that, what's his name you're refusing? That's insane. Insane is, I got 17 on here on this June 10th. You're going to refuse to comply with every single one? Jail for six times. Tell me their names, you hacks and sociopaths in the district attorney's office. Freedom of information. The month ending of the grand jury is convened to decide district attorney's office employed aggressive grand jury. 3 the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4 the vote of the grand jurors. 5 the transcript of the grand jury proceeding. Shut up, why didn't you call me to the grand jury? I would have stood right in front of you. You could have asked me anything you want. What am I talking about? $73,000 Michael Houlihan and $85,000 Don Benedetto walked onto the private property of my 80-plus-year-old neighbor who lives alone with a dog, come running at me in the middle of the night. 2 years ago, I turned around and run away. I do not yet know that these are 2 psychopath cops, but I'll find out. And I get to the back porch and put my foot on the first of 3 steps. I just grab a hammer I used to fix my bike. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up. I run through the sliding glass door on the body camera footage of Michael C. Houlihan. I say, fuck you. It's impossible for me to commit any crime, and I ran away the whole time. And as far as them giving me orders, this happened in less than 30 seconds. Do you know what I'm talking about, Director of the Grand Jury, Michelle Crowley? I ran the whole time. So they have to explain $73,000 Michael Houlihan and $85,000 Don Benedetto, what they're doing on a private property. What's going to happen is they're going to lie. And it is astounding to me that you accept every single word these lying hacks and sociopaths and degenerates and fanatics and extremists at the sheriff's office say. Do you think that there are corrupt cops in the United States of America, employees of the district attorney's office? Because there are. The hatred in the United States of America for the police is at a level I have never seen before, and that's why there are movements to defund the cops. So I'm going to say this again, you, Michelle Crowley, you, Mark Monahan, and you, Perry Duckles. Do you believe everything that the employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office say? Tell me, I'll write this down. You should immediately be suspicious of them because of people like Richard J. Seaman. Richard J. Seaman walked into the public library and finally attacked me, which I've talked about him repeatedly. When Michael Houlihan states in front of that grand jury, director of the grand jury, Michelle Crowley, I swung a hammer at him, he perjures himself. Michael Houlihan, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, is a perjurer. And I'm going to write criminal charges about him. And I do not yet know the law in the state anymore. If me as a citizen can write such a criminal complaint or charge, and then he can be charged with a crime. I'm telling you right here and right now, he's a perjurer. The body camera shows I ran the whole time. Did you see the body camera footage, Michelle Crowley? It does not matter to you. The public defender's office called me and told me. Michelle Crowley, what is wrong with you? Why do you hate? It's because you want to have this sick power over a citizen at the district attorney's office to control the life of that citizen. And the facts and the truth are relevant to you in 1984, Michelle Crowley. So, Richard J. Seaman, his violent attack on this June 10th, send me my money back to me. Walked into the Penfield Public Library. I do not know when I leave my residence for the last time. Richard J. Seaman, his psychopath partner, watching me. I have no due process. Again, this bald-headed widow was waiting for me. Paul C. Metzer did this to me in Penfield Town Court. Richard J. Seaman was watching my front door. I leave. I walk to Penfield Road. I walk to Bad Road. I walk into Bad Road where the public libraries. Richard J. Seaman and his psychopath partner walk in. 5 minutes later, and this is what I have in my pocket, $61.39. That's in my pocket because this check had to be reissued to me. Seaman ran at me in the library. It's the force of Seaman's arm slamming me in the head. He clotheslines me, slams me in the head. I fell backwards and then my head hit swimming time. It does not matter to you that this is a violent psychopath cop, Michael Rather, Kathleen Mill, William Tadeo, Scott Ability. Does not matter to you. This is the blue wall silence from you, all 4 of those names. When I'm telling you this is a violent wall of silence house is going to protect this guy because I saw him on Penfield Road when you arrested me for double jeopardy. I was arrested twice for the fiction and the fantasy and the head of Michael Houlihan. I'm New York's 5-day Monroe County jail inmate because I was in jail for 5 days of double jeopardy because of Michael Houlihan, because the warrant was still out there. And you filed and tracked me and arrested me because this warrant that I already served time in jail for was still active. How do you explain this to the Department of Justice? You hacks and psychopaths and ciphers at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office. So, the issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester, address below for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the County of Monroe Office of Sheriff and may fund the account because that's the dollar amount in the pocket. Chichester was violently attacked at public library of $75,905 Richard A.C. from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Now here, is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie? 17% for her third place, I believe she was. Tell me the answer, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan. Total criminal attempt second right telemanners, track nobody owns land next to my residence, walk back around. That's not a crime. That's because you're $79,000 freak Andrew Reality. I go to a gym called PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press. Up walks to me Jermaine L. Bettman. He stands over me, punches down. My head snaps back violently. Who did I just harass? This is why people hate the police in the United States of America. I have never harassed anybody in my long life. Andrew Reality arrives, and Andrew Reality arrives because he knows me about criminal attempt second. He says, let's go out to the vehicle. I'm sitting in the back seat of $79,000 Andrew Reality Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. And through the glass, I see him talking to Jermaine Bettman because Jermaine Bettman is being told what to say to me by Andrew Reality. Andrew Reality marches Jermaine Bettman around the side of the vehicle, and these 7 words are going to have me charged with harassment second after my head, which is violently snapped back. I want to press charges against you, and with those 7 words, I'm charged with harassment second. Todd Baxter, you fucking Benito Mussolini skinhead and psychopath. Who did I harass? I didn't harass anybody. I was in Monroe County Jail for harassment second, where a prosecutor didn't talk in court. It's Julie Hahn. If Julie Hahn is not the freak who stood in John P. Menzo Jr. and didn't talk in court, is it Marianne Rossetti at $45,504? Probably not, because that's a junior. You really need that 6 cents, don't you, Michelle Crowley? He's Senate Majority Leader Ralph William Governor George Pataki in Albany for 8 years. I've delivered the payroll for the meeting when I worked for Senator Olympia J. Snow and Congressman Morris Smith in Washington, D.C., when Mr. Smith was the chairman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts and the Internet. Nobody has bizarre salaries like this. $100,754.06. There's some kind of civil service pay scale that is used in league with Sandra Doorley deciding the salary. Sandra Doorley decides all the salaries because she's the duly elected district attorney. So, who is it? Julie Hahn's not on here because she's the court. Elizabeth D. Buckley at $104,474. You can tell me, Elizabeth D. Buckley, Christopher.ChichesterMail.com, Park Avenue, PNB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. You can tell me. And when I go to my box, the 620 Park Avenue, UPS box, there's going to be documentation in there. When you have sociopaths and ciphers, I'm going to compel me to appear for one corrupt judge, where you don't have to talk, and I'll be delivered to jail again. It's exactly what's going to happen to me because you cannot control your fanaticism. So, tell me the answer, Mark Monahan and Perry Douglas. For more information, let's the 5'2" 3-piece boy. This is the prosecutor's not backing down. You can tell me right now, Regina Harper. Documentation of the case for Christopher Chichester, Paul St. Matthew Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. The 5'2" 3-piece suit boy, quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. It's right here. Who is it? Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan. So, my last appearance in the New York State Supreme Court, who elevated me to Alice Renzi? I met my temporary residence in Liberty to Paul Way. I would be in Albany now if it wasn't for this freak right here. If this freak here at the district attorney's office and force me into Alex Renzi, I would be in Albany, where I lived in the city 5 years. I lived in the county, Albany County, for 10 years. I'm here in Rochester, New York now because of this freak that forced me into Alex Renzi. What's the name of this freak? Perry Duckers and Mark Monahan. Freedom of information of documentation for the case of Christopher Johnson, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. What's the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. Because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office. Tell me the name of my prosecutor before Alex Renzi. Tell me the name of my prosecutor, Paul C. Metzler. Tell me the name of my prosecutor before John Paul Metzler Jr. You refuse because you're freaks at that district attorney's office. That's why. My former employers, the United States Accountability Act of 1996, when I would go to meetings, I was the chairman. They would occasionally have either discussion or hearings on healthcare records and how to properly protect healthcare records. And that's why. What's Paul C. Metzler doing with my healthcare records? Why does Paul C. Metzler know where I went to on Elmwood Avenue after Monroe County Jail without a 730 mental health evaluation? You just drove me over there. Dr. Sheriff Todd Baxter. 730 is the part of New York State law that determines competence, and these can be abused. But I was released at a facility north of Syracuse where I was given an extensive 730 by multiple doctors. This is what you're doing to me. You're forcing me into these 730s. You're using this mental health bureaucracy in the state of New York to obliterate me. When I appear in front of a real doctor that can determine competence and will listen to me, that has ethics, I'm free. So, Freedom of Information Law, copy the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Pennsylvania Act. Because when I was in Pennsylvania Court, she asked me, is responsible for me going from, I could say, you could figure it out. So, somebody at that sheriff's office contacted this academic quack, Dr. Caroline Easton. That has me transferred from Monroe County Jail to this place, this center, on a goddamn thing about me. Those are my exact words to her. David C. Munson Jr. is the president of Rochester Institute of Technology. And again, what you're doing to me about my life, I am forced to think about you hacks, sociopaths, and psychopaths, and frauds at the sheriff's office, district attorney's office, Pennsylvania Court, New York State Supreme Court, when I'm trying to get on my life. I ran a 5K at RIT. This is just a tremendous day. And when I go over there, I go through my pre-race routine because it's my first time there. I'm thinking about this Dr. Caroline East. I'm trying to put her out of my mind. Because runners, to somebody like me, to some 70-year-old who just wants to run 30 minutes for a 5K, I'm trying to hack Caroline Easton because it is foil I'm holding up right here. Contact the Office of Mental Health Department of Health and Caroline Easton and RT. I'm going to write the Caroline Easton doing involved them. This is the destruction of my life by you. And it does not matter to you. It's right here, you freak. It's right here, you party switcher, Todd Baxter doesn't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. It's right here, you party switcher, Sandra Doorley doesn't know if she's a Democrat or Republican. That's it. This is why Elliot Roth, who's the man who works at this business, this is 25 Penn for a business called Consumer Insights. I'm walking to the parking lot for the 4,000th time. A man named Neeraj Shah begins to scream at me. I have this confrontation with him. I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. I walk away, tell him to fuck off. This Neeraj Shah knows people walk through this parking lot every day. You know why he could go to the sheriff's office? You know why he could tell Shannon Meyer in the documentation I should be arrested? Because his name Raj Shah is his name. And he's a minority. Call him racist his whole life, and you know it. At the sheriff's office, and that's what I believe. This is falsely reporting an incident. If Dr. Corey Nichols is still my dentist at 2033 Pemberton Road, I'm not in jail one time. When he begins to scream at me for walking through this parking lot, I'm going to tell you why I'm holding this up. It's the end of my life. Desmond Haney said, I want to show you something. You see what I'm pointing at? And there I am. That's how I know my right arm is moving. I saw the video image of me, and it has a signed number called an ICN number. Todd Baxter, this is private technology using on me at 2025 Penfield Road. You buy it and fix it for me and tell me what the answer is. You disgusting, sickening, Benito Mussolini skinhead hack and stoge. Tell me the answer. Cost of Valentine's first week taxpayer dollars, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, and fixed building 2025 25 Penfield Road to Monroe, Chichester, 26 Sandra Farm Drive, walks through the building, walks through parkland, exit the building, and that's the lunatic fringe. The lunatic fringe of your cop freak, Shannon Meyer. I think about her name, that it has damage and continues to damage my health. Because there I am, and 6 of you were there. 6 of you are there for me, for telling a man on his tractor nobody owns the land next to my red. So when it's real violence in Monroe County, this is what your cop freak, Shannon Meyer, is doing. Telling other members of the sheriff's office she wants to arrest me, telling other members to come there. I can still see the male who has me in handcuffs. She doesn't have me in handcuffs. When I tell Steve Desmond, a Brock Hall tree, nobody owns the land, walk back her reds, a half an hour later, Meyer runs into my backyard. Shannon Meyer, you then $67,000 cop freak fell down on her face in my backyard dirt. Then I hear the insane pounding in the front door. 5 of you were there. I walk outside, and what's the problem? Meyer runs around to the front. This hyperventilating freak has dirt on her face, dirt on a uniform, and then this 6'3" gorilla who's about 250 pounds puts the handcuffs on me. I'm standing in my front lawn. He's holding me in handcuffs like this. He's talking to the other fanatics here. This is ridiculous. My friend Adam watched this happen to me. Another neighbor watched this happen to me. And said, all he did is tell the man on his tractor nobody owns the land and walk back in my residence. You will have to say that. This is sexual harassment at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office. You know the answer, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan. And in law school, you studied the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The Title VII is the section of law that deals with sexual harassment. 18 months I've been demanding this. Sandra Doorley, since Sandra Doorley is a female, should be particularly concerned about sexual harassment in her own office. Michael Rather. Michael Rather is a $0 employee. Are you paid over? Michael Rather from Todd Baxter was elected in 2017 with his campaign accounts. Did Todd Baxter transfer monies to you from his private campaign accounts when he took office in January 1, 2018, and you paid private money the whole time? Have you been paid $0 the whole time since Todd Baxter took office on January 1, 2018? Because I used to fall previously, the man when you were hired, there you are on day one at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, any type of private money at the Sheriff's Office since January. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, how well paid on a basis. Fowler's paid $163,000. Corey Brown has paid $155,000. When I contact Thomas B. DiNapoli, the New York State Controller, and I demand that you be audited, this is one of the examples I'm going to cite immediately in a list of 50. These will be one of the first ones, this list of 50 in bullet points. Your 2 employees paid not just $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 more than you. They paid $20,000+ more than you, Corey Brown and Michael Fowler. What are they doing in Saratoga? So this is going to be overtime, time and a half. Corey Brown and Michael Fowler, 155 and 163, also paid overtime. And can they exist at more than $200,000? How many employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter, are paid $200,000 with overtime, time and a half, however that's done? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Freedom of information on total cost of overtime, time and a half, I'll pay him on a base salary calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Todd Baxter. Does 57-year employee of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Frank Chernetsky, receive overtime, time and a half? If Frank Chernetsky is hired at 18 years old as an employee of the sheriff's office, that means Frank Chernetsky is 75 years old. He's the old man at the jail. He has to be. Because when I went down to this area to exercise with the other inmates, I'd like to know if those other inmates were in jail when the prosecutor talked in court. There's the old man. I looked at him. He was shrinking in his uniform. That's the image I have. I think he looks like he's shrinking in that uniform. Is Frank Chernetsky paid overtime, Todd Baxter? Is Frank Chernetsky the old man at jail? He has to be. I'll write this down on demand of you. This old man is a threat to himself and everybody else around him because he's 75 years of age. Todd Baxter, are you aware that there were murderers and rapists at Monroe County Jail who you do not segregate by crime? I'm around the most violent degenerates in Monroe County when the prosecutors never talk to court when I'm in Monroe County Jail. Todd Baxter, 57-year employee. What is wrong with you? That's the old boy network that you use for political support. So, overtime time and a half at the district attorney's office. Total cost of overtime time and a half, albeit on a base salary calculated to Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley. So you hacks, sociopaths, and cretins and criminals. Here is, I'll go to the first page of the district attorney's payroll. You Perry Douglas at $113,919, and you paid overtime. Can you Perry Douglas be paid more money than Sandra Doorley, $210,000? What's the answer? You know the answer. I don't. I'm demanding you answer me. Tell me the answer. Matthew Schwartz, 106. Mark Monahan, 112. Michelle Crowley, 100. Sarah Van Strydock, 104. Raymond G. Benitez, 104. Robin Catalano, 107. Liz Buckley, 104. Michael J. Harrigan, 102. All those $100,000 employees, can they be paid overtime? How many of them can be paid more money than Sandra Doorley, $210,000? This is the thing that's really nauseating to me. There's real crime and violence in murder trials. These are employees will try murder defendants. And you're concocting these crimes for me, where you just stand in total silence as I'm delivered to jail. These $100,000 employees, officers of court, are in trials for murder and the most violent crimes in Monroe County. And this is what you're doing to me, these ridiculous, insane concoctions from you. So, here, Todd Baxter taking pictures of the employees underwater in a pool. You know what I'm talking about? You Benito Mussolini skinhead. As I look for that. What are you doing taking a picture of the employees underwater in a pool, Todd Baxter? Because I don't know if I'm going to try to get to it quickly if I can find it. But I've held that up repeatedly. And in the interest of time, I'll move on. So, that's a surveillance device. You put in a Mussolini scanner. Call Lindsay Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, to come to my residence again. The cost for photography session, photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in a pool, June 10th. Tell me what the answer is. Julie Sianka, the public defender. Tell me what the salaries are for the public defender's office. Name the salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, Julie Sianka. What did you think, Julie Sianka, about that confrontation that assistant public defender had at a court in Monroe County? Is she still employed? I believe it's a female employee. What were the events that led to that confrontation? Because it was in one of the radio and television websites I saw about a public defender. There was some type of, I don't know if it was violence, but there was some altercation with a public defender where either she had to be restrained or she's attacking someone. What happened with that employee? Was there criminal charges with that assistant public defender? And what are the facts and circumstances? I don't remember off the top of my head. What is going on with your public defender's office? And when I say what's going on with public defenders, we had that incident there, and you're refusing to tell me the names of my prosecutors. Julie Sianka, Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. Tell me the names of my prosecutors. Public defender Julie Sianka, assistant public defender Regina Harper, assistant public defender Mark Phillips. The name of salary of Freedom of Information, name of salary of public employee, Pampa Town Court, 1985 Bad Road, 14526. As officers of the court, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, Julie Sianka, Mark Phillips, Regina Harper. Does it bother you in any way when you go in there and you see these two hacks at ciphers? Paul C. Metz with $28,000, James C. Money Jr. $34,000. You have to stand there in front of them when you know there's no jury of 12, when you know there's no witness box for testimony. You have to stand in Pemberton Town Court because there's nowhere to sit. This little room is a joke. And you're a joke when you go in there and grovel before these two hacks, Paul C. Metz and James Money Jr., who are going to decide guilt or innocence. These two are totally unequipped, given their ages and their corruption, determine guilt or innocence. And you go in there, Mark Phillips, and Regina Harper and Julie Sock and perhaps Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan, and you grovel before these two. Why? So, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, who forced me into Alex Renzi? How many times do I have to demand of you that you disclose to me? I would be in Albany, New York, if it wasn't for this fucking degenerate that forced me into Alex Renzi. And who is it at the district attorney's office? I'm demanding of him salaries of everybody there at the hackocracy who are 18. Freedom of Information Law. Names and salaries of every public employee at the New York State Supreme Court under supervised Judge Alex Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard in Rochester, New York. He refused to answer. Alex Renzi is corrupt. So, this is Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket with Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher attended Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. I don't know if I have the photograph with me. If I can find it, in the interest of time, since it's like 31 minutes, I'll hold it up. What's your employee doing in Stars and Bars, Georgia? I used to see this in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and Clarksville, Tennessee when I was in 101st Airborne Division. 41A connects Clarksville and Hopkinsville. And my roommate, his name is Anthony O'Neill. Anthony was from Los Angeles, California. We would be in confusion as the way 19 and 20-year-olds are. What's he doing down there with the Stars and Bars was not changed in Georgia until 2003? Was that for a conference? You cops love to go to these disgusting conferences. I used to see this in Albany. In Albany, underneath the campus, was called the Concourse, built by the great Nelson Rockefeller. And conferences would be in Albany all the time. The New York State Legislature was in session from January until June. I see these conferences, and I didn't quite get it then, and I certainly don't get it now. A conference is a joke, a disgrace. What's your employee doing 1,000+ miles away in Atlanta, Georgia? Was it for a conference, Todd Baxter? If it's not for a conference, what's Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher doing in Atlanta, Georgia? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Freedom of Information on it. This here, I believe, can remove you from office. Thomas B. DiNapoli, the controller of the state of New York, has power to audit local governments, and I believe, under the law, I could be incorrect about this, that you are a local government under the law. Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's your contract for firearms? You decide this. This is perhaps one of your most important decisions, if not your most important decision. The firearms, not only the handguns, long guns, and rifles you have in arsenal. Freedom of Information, the contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contractor, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, total amount of taxpayer house to purchase firearms. Tell me the answer. How's that decided? You don't just have the guns you Benito Mussolini skinhead at the sheriff's office. There is a contractor. They have to be delivered to you. It's the same ridiculous corruption of you. On this date here, this is a receipt for $110.05 on this February 25th. This is Patrick's Printing on East Main Street in Rochester, New York. On this February 25th, I went there. I spoke to the great Andrew, who does all my printing. I paid $110.05 on this day. On this day here, on this February 25th, I'm demanding you disclose the names. I prosecuted this was sent to you, registered mail, return receipt. This is the receipt right here. On that day, that's you, Todd Baxter. I'm telling you what I think of you, disgusting, sickening, revolting hack, and cipher and criminal. District Attorney Sandra, on that day, I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors. This hack and sociopath, Alex Renzi, who forced me into Alex Renzi, got it. And the most important name here, if you think I'm talking to you, you're insane. I'm never talking to you at the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office, New York State Supreme Court, Penn Court. I'm talking to Trini Ross, the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, who is in Buffalo. How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk court? That's what I'm going to say to her that I'm asking of you. And you refuse to answer me every single time. I do not know the state of her ethics and morality if she comports herself with the highest degree of character. Because I have faith in no public officials. I think you're all at an Elliot Spitzer level of insane corruption. She could be at an Elliot Spitzer level of insane corruption. And I would know. But I'm going to find out when I contact her. Because she should just ignore it. She'll think that's a local matter. It's in Rochester, New York. It's in Monroe County. I don't care. Even though this is her jurisdiction. Now you can avoid catastrophes and disasters. Employees at the District Attorney's Office, Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley. Redirect defendants away from Penfield Court. There are 36,000 citizens in Penfield, New York. You could do this. You could easily do this. Well, you don't have to go in to Paul C. Metz and James P. Mullen Jr. and grovel before them who know nothing. When John P. Mullen Jr. screamed my name in Penfield Town Court, Christopher Chase is charged with trespass. He does not even know the concocted fiction lie from then $67,000 Shannon Meyer is criminal contempt. And I believe I had been held in contempt of court in Penfield Town Court for correcting John P. Metzer Jr. and Paul C. Metzer. Paul C. Metzer, what's the answer? James Renzi Jr., what's the answer? Tell me the answer. If there are charges for me for talking in Penfield Town Court and exercising a First Amendment right and stating the accuracy of the charges for me. So, this is the text for Violence at Monroe County Jail, which is TikTok application. You have no control over inmates at Monroe County Jail because this is violence at Monroe County Jail, Todd Baxter. Just like there's violence at Livingston County Jail. So this is the text of TikTok. I sent this to you on May 20th. This went to Thomas J. Doorley. What am I doing in Livingston County for Thomas J. Doorley? They told me at the jail my safety would be at risk. Not from the inmates of Monroe County Jail, from the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that work at the jail. I've been attacked at Monroe County Jail. I think that's Richard J. Seaman, but I don't know. So, text for violence in Monroe County Jail, TikTok. Quote, Sheriff Todd Baxter, when I was an inmate in Monroe County Jail as an innocent man, while prosecuted in tall court, I received my lunch tray one day and 10 feet in front of him. One man attacked another man, and this became a fight, a real fight. Within me, the man was injured. But it was a vicious confrontation that was right in front of me. And then when I was in Livingston County Jail as an innocent man, I'm in Livingston County because I can't be at Monroe County Jail because I was told I was a security risk, given what I did to you on YouTube. I was walking to go speak to a public defender, but before I could open the door, one inmate ran up behind another inmate, knocked him to the ground, and then began to punch him on top of his head repeatedly. He hit him on top of his head with a closed fist about 10 plus times. I just stood there watching this, and then about 15 Livingston County Sheriff Office employees came running through the door. I was just about to exit, and they immediately broke up this violent attack. I watched this. So 48 hours later, I was told to go to a room and meet with an investigator because the camera saw me as a witness to this violent attack. The first thing he said to me, quote, is I'm here to talk to you about the fight, end quote. And I said to him, quote, I'm not cooperating with anything that's a fight because I didn't watch a fight. I watched a violent attack on an innocent man. And I sat with him for 90 minutes. He was a total professional asking me about the violence I witnessed. And I signed a statement as a witness to this violent crime. I didn't hear anything about this attack in Livingston County Jail that I witnessed. So I witnessed an attack in Monroe County Jail. I witnessed an attack in Livingston County Jail. I've witnessed attacks at other places because of you, Sheriff Todd Baxter. What is going on in Monroe County Jail? Inmates attacking inmates. Jail employees attacking inmates. That happened to me, and I explain that on YouTube. Do you have a daily report 7 days a week about violence? If there was no violence, you need to be told there was no violence in Monroe County Jail. If an inmate attacks another inmate, do you report it to the district attorney's office? I only have 20 seconds to go, you party switching stooge degenerate. What are you going to do is refuse to answer because you're not accountable to anyone. There is violence in Monroe County Jail because I've seen it. I'm going to contact you with 1,000 words. I'm going to be on the side repeat about violence at your Monroe County Jail and how you, Todd Baxter, can't control violence at your jail. You, Todd Baxter, can't control violence at your jail. In Albany, there is a commission on correction. I think there's 3 commissioners. I'm going to talk to the commission about violence in Monroe County Jail and Livingston County Jail. What do you think about what I just said? I live in Monroe County, New York. I've lived in Monroe County, New York since 2012. I moved here to be with my then girlfriend, Laura, when Laura and I lived in Webster. What am I doing as a 10-year resident of Monroe County in Livingston County, not far from the State University of New York, Geneseo? Tell me the answer. Again, the obliteration of my life, and you think about things that happen to you and the people in your life. Livingston County Jail, Geneseo. When I was a graduate student, my fellow graduate assistant, his name was Anthony Scardino, and Anthony's from Rochester. Anthony's a graduate of State University of New York, Geneseo. And he was getting ready to go work for the FBI in Washington, D.C. When I'm at this Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, I would occasionally think about Anthony. And I will never tell him about being in Geneseo and why I was in Geneseo and why I was so close to where he graduated 30 years ago. Some of you are obliterating me. When a prosecutor has to talk to court by sending me to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, I'm going to have thoughts about my life, because anybody would. What is wrong with you at that district attorney's office? Why are you consumed with a hatred for the human condition? Why are you relying on one judge to determine innocence and guilt when you know you don't have to talk to court? Why are you refusing Mark Mining and Perry Duckles to disclose the names of my prosecutors? So, the name of the prosecutor is right here. Tell me what the name is. So this is where I wrote to Julie Sianka May 14th. This is corruption. So I'm going to tell Sabrina Marr, stupefied Julie Sianka. If you go to YouTube, type stupefied Julie Sianka, I'm telling you here, it says, comply with the 3 Freedom of Information Law documents attached May 14, 2023, mailed to names of my prosecutor's cells below in Rochester, New York. This is an email here that had limited recipients, but I'm looking for your name here. Don Benedetto's on here, who hides on private property of my neighbor here. So on here is Mark Phillips and Regina Harper. and Paula Metzer and Julie Sianka. So you could have told me on this May 14th here, Mark Phillips and Virginia Harper and Julie Sianka, the names of my prosecutors, and you refused. You could have told me Perry Douglas, your name's on here. Pretrial Services Corporation, Jamie Belliard, am I finished with you? Because I believe that you will be used at Pretrial Service Corporation, return me to jail. Why does Pretrial Services Corporation exist, Jamie Belliard? Why does it exist, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan? I believe it exists as a mechanism to return citizens to jail where you can use it for not making a phone call or making an appearance. Pre-trial. I don't have a trial scheduled. This is what Alex Renzi's doing to me, forcing me to appear or make phone calls. Because I had to go down there and I made phone calls to Jamie Belliard. This photograph is why you're a fanatic. This photograph is why you're extremist. This photograph is why you're a liar. This photograph is why I know the name is $67,000 disgusting action of mine. This photograph is why people hate the police. How many times do I have to say this? I will repeat things that need to be repeated. It's just private technology. Benito Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter affixed 2025 Penfield Road. Or did you spend taxpayer dollars and fix it for me? Oh, Lindsay Barron, the Model County Office of Mental Health, when I use that phrase, surveillance device. So, this year is February 16th. This is about your pay raise freak, Shannon Ma. I'm telling you that she's a fanatic here. I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who locked doors and locked me out. When I write the criminal complaint about 80-year-old Anthony Osmano, locking the doors and locking me out, forcing me into House Rental Park, using my ex-girlfriend to do it, he won't be arrested. This is a target. This is May 2nd. I'm telling you right here that I'm the targeted grand jury because $73,000 freak Michael Houlihan and $85,000 freak Don Benedetto, Michelle Crowley, why didn't you call me the grand jury? In this YouTube here, a target, grand jury of Sandra Doorley, I'm saying to you, repeatedly, Michelle Crowley, questions such as, why didn't you call me to the grand jury? Why didn't you interview with the district attorney's office before this grand jury is convened? How did you pick the grand juries? Just like on that foil I read today. How is this answered? I'm your ham sandwich. Michelle Crowley. That's how easy it is to be indicted. You want to see the new ham sandwich in the United States of America? Here he is. This is what I have in common with this ham sandwich right here. This is ham sandwich Donald Trump, born in Queens, New York. I'm ham sandwich Chris Chichester, born in Queens, New York. This is Alvin Bragg, this revolting, sickening hack in Manhattan doing this to the former president of the United States with Mark F. Pomerantz. These are psychopath prosecutors that did this to Donald J. Trump, who I'm no fan of, incidentally. I'm not MAGA. That's not me. I'm not wearing a red hat. I've been a Republican my whole life. I'm not MAGA. What happened to him is an abomination because of a psychopath prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, because of a psychopath prosecutor, Mark Pomerantz, who was taken apparently out of retirement. He's about 70 years old. So, this is on this April 17th. Again here, I'm telling you, on this April 17th, the falls attached, disclose the names of my prosecutors 6+ weeks ago. You're refusing here, cruelty here. This is on April 29th. Apply with the Freedom of Information Law attachments document April 29th. Mail them the names of my prosecutors. Silence below the address of Rochester, New York prosecutors of silence before Penfield Town Court Judge John P. Lenzer Jr., Penfield Town Court Judge Paul C. Metzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. So I told you on this April 29th, as I've been telling you repeatedly for 18 months. Here I'm telling you here, $113,000 Perry Douglas on this February 25th. February 25th, I told you Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, public defender Julie Sianka, assistant public defender Regina Harper, Mark Feltari, March, April, May, 3+ months ago to tell me the names of my prosecutors. And you refused. One judge. The last thing I'm going to talk about, this is what the state legislature needs to reform. This one judge determining guilt or innocence. So, bench trial. It's not a trial. One judge destroys me when a prosecutor doesn't talk court. I'm fundamentally altered. I do not look at justice and decency and morality the way I used to because one judge or a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. How come I've never heard Miranda? You know about the 1966 Supreme Court decision, Miranda versus Arizona, where the fanatical cops destroyed the life of Ernesto Miranda? This has been a law in the United States of America for 55 years. How come I've never heard Miranda? Why are you putting me in front of one judge? Because you're corrupt, that's why. Because you're psychopaths, because you're fanatics. Because you at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office live in 1984. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been an innocent man my whole life.